The phone doesn't stop. The emails don't stop. And every single one of them is coming to you. That's not a business. That's dependency. And it depends on you, which means every time you try to grow, you hit the same wall. Every time you tried stepping away, something pulled you back in. 20 years in construction taught me a lot of things, but the hardest lesson, the one that actually changed my business, had nothing to do with building. It had everything to do with me getting out of my own way. I'm Joel Lipsky. Let's dive into it. Let me be straight with you right out of the gate. If every decision in your construction company runs through you, you are the problem. Not your guys, not your subs, and not your clients. You're the problem. I'm not saying that to beat you up. I'm saying that because I lived through it. And until I was willing to look in the mirror and admit it, nothing changed. Here's what the bottleneck looks like in real life. Your foreman calls you to ask a question he should already know the answer to. Your project coordinator sends you something for approval that should have a process behind it. Your bookkeeper is waiting on you to make a call that should have been made probably last week. And you, where are you? You're on the job site, trying to manage 3 projects at once, wondering why nothing is moving forward. That's not a staffing problem. That's a systems problem. And it starts at the top. When you become the single point of failure in your construction business, you've hit your ceiling. And no matter how hard you work, you cannot push through that ceiling alone. Here's the thing. Most of us got into construction because we were naturally good at it. We knew how to build. We knew how to get things done. And when you're good at something, you do it yourself. That works when you're a one-man show. It stops working the second you try to grow. Contractors who are incredibly talented in the field, completely overwhelmed in the office. Why? Because the skills that made you a great builder are not the same skills that made you a great business owner. Running a business requires systems. It requires delegation, and it requires trust. Most of us, myself included, were never taught that. We learned construction, soils, concrete, steel. We were not taught how to run a construction company. So by default of what we know, we do it ourselves. And before we know it, everything runs through us. Nothing runs without us, and we're trapped. I was frustrated for years trying to grow this business. I could see where I wanted to go. I just couldn't get there. And the reason was simple. I hadn't built the infrastructure to support the growth. I was the infrastructure, and one person can only carry so much. There came a point where I had to make a decision. Either I keep doing everything myself and stay exactly where I am, or I learn to let go and actually build something. But here's what I want to be clear about. Letting go doesn't mean losing control. I thought if I stepped back, things would fall apart. Projects would get missed. Quality would drop. And you know what? When I let go without structure, some of that actually did happen. That's the lesson. You can't just hand things off and just hope for the best. That's not delegation. That's abandonment. What you need is delegation with guide rails. You need to build the systems first. You need to document the process, you need to train the people, and you need to set the standards. And then trust the team to execute within those standards. That's the model that changed everything for me. I stopped being the answer to every question. I started building systems that answer the questions for me. When that infrastructure is in place, you can start letting go because the system holds it together, not you. Let's talk about what this is really costing you because it's more than just stress. When you are the bottleneck, you are the ceiling of your own revenue. You can only take on as much work as you can personally manage, and there's a hard limit on that number. When you are the bottleneck, your team stops growing. They rise to the level of the systems and the expectations you set. When you're the bottleneck, your clients feel it. Response times slow down. Details get missed. The experience suffers. And in this industry, your reputation is everything. When you're the bottleneck, your health pays the price. 60-hour work weeks, working on the weekends, your inability to disconnect with your family. And I've seen it break good contractors. And when you are the bottleneck, your family pays for it too. I built this business to create a life, not be consumed by one. And if you're honest with yourself, most of you got into this business for the same reason: freedom, flexibility, legacy. You cannot build any of that if you're the single point of failure in your own company. So how do you fix it? Here's where to start. Step 1, identify where you are the bottleneck. Write it down. Every decision, every approval that runs through you. Get it out of your head and onto paper. You need to see it clearly before you can fix it. Step two, build SOPs for the reoccurring stuff. If something happens more than once in your business, it needs a process, a standard operating procedure, a documented way of doing it that doesn't require you to be in the same room. This is how you take your knowledge out of your head and put it back into the business. Step three, hire and train to the process. Not just hire good people and hope they figure it out. Hire people, train them to the process, and hold them accountable to it. They execute to the standard. You manage the outcome, not the task. Step four, build checks and balances. Letting go doesn't mean going blind. You need visibility without being involved in every detail. Reporting structures, weekly reviews, financial check-ins. This is how you stay in control without being in the way. Step five, trust the team, but verify the system. Trust is earned and it's built over time. Start small. Delegate one thing. Watch how the process holds. Adjust if needed. Then delegate more. Build that muscle gradually, because once you see the system works without you, everything is going to change. I want to paint you a picture of what's on the other side of this. When you remove yourself as the bottleneck, your team gets stronger. They rise to the level of the systems and expectations that you set. When you remove yourself as the bottleneck, you can take on more work because the business can run without you physically manage every piece of it. When you remove yourself as the bottleneck, you get your time back. You start making strategic decisions instead of answering the same questions every single day. And when you remove yourself as the bottleneck, you start building something that has real value, a business that can operate, grow, and eventually run without you standing at the center of it. That is the goal. That is what separates a contractor from a construction business owner. Here's the hard truth I'll leave you with. Nobody is coming to fix this for you. Not your team, not your accountant, not even AI. This starts with you making a decision to stop being the answer to every question, to stop holding on so tight that nothing can grow around you, to build the systems, train the people, and trust the process. You got into this industry to build things. It's time to build the most important thing, a business that doesn't need you to survive every day. I learned this the hard way, so you don't have to. Like this video if it hit home, share it with a contractor who needs to hear it, and subscribe because we're just getting started. I'll see you on the next one.